You're listening to the Candice Dormon Show on Digital Stream Radio.
This week, we're talking about systems and specifically your business files. So stick around while we get our lives together for 2021. You're listening to the Candice Dormon Show, a weekly podcast about business, life, and motherhood. Hi, how are you?
Hello. Hi, peoples. Hi, Miss Candice. How are you?
I'm so good. So can we first say welcome to the new studio? Hello. I just like to move around the house, find a place that feels good.
I was going to say, I'm like, girl, you change more locations for your show than you probably do like underwear and like sweats during COVID.
Listen, COVID every other day showers, okay? Let's keep it 100, okay?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, well, I like to keep it fresh, and I'm always trying to figure out like what is going to work best. And we did this big renovation on the office, and so it makes sense for me to be here. And part of why, the other studio, first of all, the other studio got taken over by James's office, and so I needed to find a new place to be. And
how dare he?
I know, but it works out really well for him because he's got space, to do his work. And I wanted this office space, but I can't have an office space and a studio. Like it felt a little bit greedy. So now I'm making the office space an all inclusive, right? So it is office, right, studio, and warehouse for Echo Body, but it's working out pretty well. I'm really enjoying it. So I hope that you like our new, it's an interesting, we'll see. I'll look in the feed in the playback and see how I like the way the setup is, but
I think it looks wonderful. I mean, you've got all the colors. You are wrapped in something purpley and shiny, and I am loving every minute of it.
Wait, what do you see that's purple and shiny?
Whatever you're wrapped in.
Like
your
my
shirt.
Oh, you know what? It must be. This thing is black. I'm wearing all black.
It looks purplish.
Ooh, interesting.
I was like, it looks purplish and glittery, and I am living for it.
It might just be the reflection, but I'll take it. A little iridescence reflection.
Yes,
you just gotta get fancy every once in a while. And while we're talking about fancy, I always, I have to plug Watch This and our friend Neile, who makes these handmade. Can you see them?
They look amazing.
These handmade baubles that are just my favorite thing right now. Like without this hat, my mic, without this hat, this red lip, and these baubles, I would look like
me,
the hobo, like the hobo I feel like inside, right? But you can really up your game really fast with a couple of accessories and a red lip.
Agreed.
You just fix it right up. So if you are still looking for something fun, a gift for someone or for yourself, head over to, these are on Amplify Showcase, and you can find them on our, we are hosting them actually on the Echo Body site under Amplify Showcase. So if you're looking for something fun and want to shop local, please do head over and pick up a pair. I like to think of it as arm candy, right? So anyway, and the bonus is they're also watches, but I don't even care about the watch because I have a Fitbit. I just like the arm candiness. So I wanted to make sure to give her a shout out on tonight's show. Today with me, we have my friend Neile Parisi, and Watch This.
It's been a wonderful experience so far.
These amazing watches that you make yourself. Check me out.
But I wanted to create something that was functional, unique, useful, and beautiful.
And shout out to Donnery who commented, I see the purple. Now that once Tom said it, my God, I can see it. Stylish. Right. You better work.
See, so I'm getting awesome. Credit for stuff I didn't even know I was doing.
You see that?
I love it.
She inadvertently just brings out these stylish things. So now you know that jacket in certain lights might reflect very, very beautiful colors. So.
Nice. I like my unicorn jacket.
Who said nothing lovely comes out of black?
It's true. Everything lovely comes out of black.
Mm-hmm.
And If I'm being 100%, this is James's jacket because James is fly. I don't know if you knew that, but James is fly, and I was freezing just now, and so I went in the coat closet and I was like, I just need something, and I was like, oh, this will do. This will do. So,
by the way,
shout out to James.
It looks like your husband and I have a reoccurring date at Costco. I keep running into your husband at Costco. We shop at the same time, same day. I cannot.
He is a Costco dad. Maybe you're turning into a Costco dad.
I need children for that.
Well, you have,
but you said they weren't children. You said they weren't kids.
I said you have your boys. You're right. They're not children, but you have your boys.
Those are my children.
Yeah, but Costco dad is a thing. It really is I'm gonna be like Daenerys. It's a whole mood. It's a whole mood.
I'm gonna be like Daenerys. Those are my children. They're the only children I'm ever gonna have.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's just jump right in because I have what I think is it's one of those things that's like not super sexy, but really important. And that's business files. So I want to make sure that we make time to get to that. So before we do that, let's do a quick roundup of how are the boys? Because the boys are good.
So Miss Candice.
I'm listening.
Got a question?
I'm listening.
How are those amazing boys?
All right. So the boys are good. They're really good. It's been a couple weeks, and I mean, there's always something exciting to talk about, but always on show night, it's just the day, right? It's the stuff that's freshest in mind. And so today was the first real snow in Connecticut. And so I want to say there was no school, but there wasn't no school because of distance learning. There is still school no matter what's we can raise a glass or like tip a glass to the snow day. The snow days are over. They're gone.
Bye.
So
Hartford announced that they were going to go remote during snowstorms, and that's it.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
I mean, it's over. So
sorry,
we were planning for school. I was planning for a little bit of school and a little bit of hooky. But what happened was Emery woke up first thing this morning at 7:24, realized it was daytime, and promptly got dressed to go outside. And I made a fast calculation that even though I did not want to do this at 8:00 in the morning, it would be easier and better to let them go outside and tire themselves out for however long they wanted to first thing. And then I wouldn't have to hear any more for the rest of the day. Can we go outside? Is it time to go outside? I want to go outside. Is it time? It was perfect. They went outside. They were outside at 8:20. They were out there for about 45 minutes. They came back in, and I never heard another word about wanting to go outside. They had had enough.
I was dying because you posted a picture. It's like, what was it? What was it? You said, follow me for more parenting tips.
Right.
And you're drinking your coffee from within the house.
From in the house, looking out the window.
Watching them boys play in that snow.
They were happy. I was happy. I did have to put on pants because when it was time for them to come inside, I was stuck at the door and it was freezing at the door. So I did eventually have to get ready for the day, but it was really good. And so that felt like a huge parenting win for me, that instead of trying to put it off until I was ready, I would just let them do their thing. And literally you just can't be out there all day. Like you think That's you can, but
it's cold.
Half an hour in the snow in the cold feels like 3. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, and it was really like the temperatures were really cold. So, you don't feel when you're getting into your what do you call that?
Hypothermia?
Is it hypo? No, when you're getting something burns. Freezer burn.
Oh, freezer burn. Oh, like
right.
When you're getting cold. Yeah.
Right.
Until you come inside and you start to thaw out.
Right.
Then you feel it.
But there's a word for it. Frostbite.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
frostbite.
You have to be very careful because, if your socks get wet or you're sweating and things, start getting moist and then really cold and frozen, you end up with frostbite and you can lose a couple of toes or fingers. So be careful.
So 45 minutes was enough. Shout out to Afia who said that Danbury didn't have school. They closed remote for the day. That's great. I wish that New Haven had done that. We did go, we played hooky for probably a couple classes, but for the most part, they did sign on. So I was just prepared for us not to do anything.
Right.
But, we did because they had already gone outside. I just thought that if we didn't go outside, it would be all day of trying to make them be on on class, like be in school, and them fighting to get outside. So
Right.
Pro tip, parenting tip, that worked out really well to let them out. My friend Jocelyn, her kids were out at 7:30 this morning. Again, from the kitchen, she was watching them. I think that it's probably what they did in the 70s and 80s.
So Jocelyn does free range, right?
Yeah.
Free range parenting. Because I remember this from some of the conversations.
No, I don't. Yeah, maybe she would call it that. But yeah, I mean, I think she's in between free range and attachment, like most of us are. But it's good. So the boys had a really good time, and I was happy drinking my coffee, and the day went by. And tomorrow we'll be back to normal. Hopefully, the outside will stay clear so that we can get to our pod. Hopefully, the church was cleared out so that we can get into the pod. But I can't complain. Things are good. And James is good. James was out. I was looking for James. Emery and I were looking for James this morning, and we couldn't find him. And it didn't even occur to me that he would already be outside. And so before the boys even got outside, he had already plowed the snow and made space. And so it was great. He's awesome. It's awesome.
Good for him.
Yeah, I know. Can't complain.
Getting up super early and making sure things are getting done. Love it.
I know. That's who he is. So we were super grateful for that. And it has been a good day. And overall, like a good last couple weeks. And so leading up to the holiday, I'm just hoping we can keep this energy up. And, I think that has something to do with not having to stress out about who's coming over and what's for dinner and what the space and the, all of those things. So I welcome a relaxed holiday. Even though I miss my family, I welcome a relaxed holiday. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah. This is why I usually record upstairs, so that then I don't have to hear any of this. I want to have one of these moments where I'm like, yeah. But I'm going to hold it together.
That's okay.
So what I wanted to talk about tonight is something that has come up a couple of times with clients that I work with. I have some coaching clients and some tech clients. So folks who are good at what they do, right? Good at their work, good at their job, but not so good at the back end management of, files and systems and that sort of thing. And so that's what I find myself helping people with the most lately. And so it made sense to just pull something together that I could share with them. And I also thought it would be helpful for you guys. So I wanted to make sure to bring it on and just give a high level in case on your list of things for 2021, one of them is a recurring, like for the last 10 years, get my files in order, stop cluttering up my desk with paper files because I don't know what to do with them, get my systems in order so I'm not always trying to figure out what to do every single time in the moment. This is the thing. And I really feel like if you have a look at this now and let it simmer for the next week and a half, then you can really start January on a really good foot in terms of managing the back office of your business. So especially for small business owners where you have to wear all the hats, you have to do all the things, especially for small business owners. But this also works if you're, for work. You know what I mean? The folders might look a little bit different, but they work for work. And I also thought that you would appreciate this as someone who cares a lot about files, particularly audio files and podcasting files.
Neurotic.
I know. So I had you in mind too, and definitely thought that you would appreciate this. So it's a little bit beyond audio files, but definitely I have it in mind. So let's just jump right in. Let me share my screen with you guys.
And while you do that, I just want to reiterate the importance of, just taking, even if it's just 10 or 15, 20 minutes of your day to just sort of kind of file something and find home for it. It'll make your job a lot easier. Like, you don't have to make it a whole 8-hour ordeal and make it seem like it's a job. Really, just take 20 minutes of your day every day and file something. And by the end of the week, you're going to realize how easy you made your life in those 20 minutes every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the whole point about this is, is once we get a system in place, I think the hardest thing for people is when the things come in, like when the files come in, when the email comes in, when the information comes in, you look at it and then where does it go, right? When
Right.
someone sends you something in an email, you know it's important. You don't know what to do it. So you leave it in the email thinking that you'll just search for it, right? Or you download it and you leave it in your download folder thinking you'll just find it there. And then all of a sudden your computer is moving slowly and you don't know what's going on. And it's because every file you've ever opened is in your download folder, or every file you've ever opened is on your desktop. And that just gives me anxiety. And I'm not like the most organized person, but when I open my laptop and the desktop of my laptop is cluttered with files, I get so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do and I walk away. So I'm trying to save you guys for that. So, hey, Jaquise, thanks so much for joining. All right, so let's go ahead and share my screen. All right, so what we're talking about today is creating a digital business filing system. So the whole purpose of this is to take control of your business, save yourself some time, and never miss out on an opportunity. So we'll get into all of that as we go in. And so some of you may or may not know that I do launch coaching and business coaching. And so a lot of my work is focused on helping folks create some of these systems so that they can save time on the business side of their business and they can focus on the passion side, right? The making of the thing, the building of the thing, the painting of the thing, whatever it is that's your passion. I know that you want to spend all of your time on that, but you have to reserve just a little bit of time for your back office stuff. Okay, so the number one question when it comes to things that are coming in things that you need is where is it, right? Like your business files come in, even if we wanted to like stop right now and say, okay, we're going to spend a couple days working on cleaning up our old files, it would not stop the inundation, I don't even know if I said that right, of things that come in daily from wherever, right? In your email, freebies that you've signed up for, things that other people are doing, things from work, things from clients, things from vendors, like all of those sorts of things. If you're a small business owner, things are just coming in all the time and it piles up so fast, right? And then you say, like I said earlier, you'll just like keep it in your email because you can search your email, or you'll just keep it in the download folder and then you'll get to it later. But there's never really a later. Like later is never actually free. And so what I want to do for you is help you make a system so that you can do something right now in the moment and then not have to think about it anymore. You'll just like free up your mind to not have to think about it anymore.
And just to warn people about using your email as a place of storage.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, my work, because we are guilty of this, all of us, they changed the retention policy in our emails to 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And emails that I had going back to 2007 when I started, that I kept in little folders here and there, one day were gone. Everything. All that knowledge that we thought was going to be there forever and ever and ever, like Google and all these other places, gone. And so if businesses are starting to implement some of these retention file protocols, I can see a time in where Google and the Apples and all of these other Yahoos and peoples that manage emails for people are going to start going that route. And so get out of that habit of relying on your email as a storage place for files and items that are important to what you're trying to do.
It's absolutely true, because it's the space. It feels like they're such little tiny files and, it's not even real. It's like in the internets, right? But it's not free, right? And bandwidth is not free. And the folks who give us the bandwidth will find any kind of way to charge us for more and more of it. So yeah, definitely, it's a good idea to get a hold of that stuff now so that you don't have to worry about it later.
Yeah, it's incredible. And what
Yeah.
you're about to teach these people, it's so, it's so useful, even in your personal life,
Right.
because it just keeps you organized. Like
Yep.
one of the things that I decided to do, I'll just give you an example. When I purchased my home and I moved into my home, was that anything that I bought that went into my home, whether that was furniture, appliances, anything, I would scan the receipt and create a file. And I have a folder in one of my drives that says home inventory. And then I have it segregated by rooms: living room, bedroom 1, bedroom 2, 3, office, this, that.
That's amazing.
And anything that I purchased, I keep a copy of the receipt, the description of the item, and how much it cost. And I do this on a cloud-based program, right? Somewhere in the cloud. When it's time to think about what happens in case of an emergency, a fire or something like that, you don't think of those things. And on average, most insurance companies or adjusters will give you the average cost or whatever the value of the product is if you don't have proof of purchase. And when you have all of your products and ducks and information and everything in a row in a folder that you can just pop up and just hand it over, makes life easy.
Absolutely. Get your coins back. So, I mean, that brings us to missed opportunities, right? So what you were talking about is in your personal life, but the same goes in your business life,
right?
Because for your business, you're buying cameras, microphones, computers, like all of those sorts of things. And you want to count those for your when tax season comes. Can you hear that? Oh, Lord. When tax season comes, you want to be able to count all of that stuff. So definitely these things mirror each other between your personal life and your business life. So let's talk about missed opportunities, right? When your files are cluttered, when you don't know where things are, you can't tell the insurance company exactly how much it cost when it's time to replace it. And you also can't account for exactly how much it costs in your taxes when it comes time to reconcile all of your expenses against your revenue, right? And so you miss out on opportunities. Some other things that you miss out on when your files are all cluttered and you don't know where things are is you can't think big picture, right? When you're trying to keep in your mind, oh, remember that the receipts are here, or remember that I just downloaded this thing there. Your mind is always on hyperdrive, and it's almost like white noise. And with that white noise, you can't take time to think big picture about your business. I wonder what could next year look like? What kind of new things could I get into? What kind of new opportunities can I reach for or look for, or new partnerships or that sort of thing? You also can't delegate. If you don't have all of your accounting files in one place, it's going to be very difficult for you to hire an accountant, which you probably need, right? If you don't have all of your admin files in one place, it's going to be very difficult to hire a virtual assistant, which you might need. And part of you is thinking, oh, I don't have any money to pay an assistant now. But if you start acting as if you had the money for an assistant, you would have things ready so that when the time comes and it's just about money, you can put down your money because your files are all ready. I need you to do this, 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 and here are all the files, right? You also can't follow up quickly and grab opportunities. So a lot of times I've been in situations where people say, oh, can you show me some examples of your work? Or I'm thinking about this kind of thing. Can you tell me what it would cost to do this? And I have like an idea in my head, and I know I did a project somewhere, but I don't know exactly where it is. And so I put off responding in that email. A day goes by, 2 days goes by, and now a week has gone by, and you're like, oh, should I still email them now that I've finally gotten it together? And so you just miss out on opportunities that way. And very closely tied to that is also making the sale. You can very easily miss out on a sale if someone says, oh, send me the contract, and you don't know where your contracts are, right? Or if someone says, send me an invoice, you don't know where the invoice is, or I would like to buy that, and you don't know where the exact thing is that you need. In the moment, they were ready, but now when you write them 2 weeks later, they might have found it somewhere else, right? So you don't want to miss out on opportunities because you don't have something as simple as your template files in the right place, all right? Okay, so some of you might be thinking, I don't have a system, right? Like most people are thinking, what system? Like downloads is not the system. Desktop is not the system. I've even in my past life had things on the desktop, and then I just very easily use that hide desktop feature, right? So that it looks clear, but it's really not clear, right? So some of you might be thinking, I have all of these files, like I've had my business for 6 months. I've had my business for 6 years. I have accumulated a lot of files and I can't even imagine where to start. And so I would say, let's start fresh. Let's make a folder called archive and let's just swipe everything and put it in the archive folder, right? And so that way you don't have to take the time to think about going down that road of coming across files from 2008 or 2012 or 1997, depending on how long you've had your business. You can know sleep easy that Candice did not tell you to throw away your files. I just said put them in one archive spot so that we can get back to them later. And what we're going to do in this process is we are going to pull out the current things that we need, and anything that doesn't come out will stay in the archive. So don't get stressed. Don't get worried. I'm not making you throw away anything before you're ready.
Right. And then just keep in mind that if you don't do that, put everything in an archive folder. Mm-hmm. Going through each one of these is like getting caught in a proverbial hole of like, what do they call those Snapchat videos, or what's the other TikToks? Right?
Oh yeah.
You start watching one, and then next thing you know, you're like in a proverbial hole. You're just like going straight down. 2 hours later, you just spent 2 hours.
Right. It's like Pinterest, TikTok. Right? Before you know it, you're like 60 pins deep and you don't even know where you started, right? So I don't want to do that because you'll get tired really fast and you'll give up. So I don't want you to give up. So let's talk about what your top 7 folders are going to be, because I think it's 7 folders. It's really 6 because I don't want to count archive, but it's 7 altogether. So this is when you open your computer, right? When you open your My Computer folder, there should only be 7 folders there. Or on your desktop, I'm against on the desktop. I like to hide in my desktop. But if you had to put it on your desktop, it would just be 7 little folders right there for you to see. And we're going to go through this. I'm going to do it at a high level, and then we'll go into what could potentially be inside of them. So number 1 is going to be your archive folder. You can be very feel good that I didn't tell you to throw away everything. You're going to have an executive folder, an operations folder, a products or services, depending on what kind of business you run, a sales folder, which could be a sales or clients, depending on what kind of business you run, a marketing folder, and a partners folder. And again, I think of these as 7 areas of your business as a business owner. And I want for when you sit down to do work, right, that you can go to a spot and not be distracted by other things. So I don't want you to go looking for your social media marketing plan and get distracted by your accounting budget, right? Because then you'll be working for 4 hours and not really accomplish anything. That's kind of like how I sometimes clean my house, where I start in the kitchen, but something belongs in the living room. So I go in the living room and now I'm cleaning up the living room, and something belongs in the bedroom. So now I'm cleaning up the bedroom. And then after 4 hours, it looks like I didn't do anything. And that's because I wasn't focused on one space, one task, right? Okay. So these are your top 7 folders. Let's talk about what's going to be inside of these folders. I already told you that your archive is going to be everything. Just swipe everything in one fell swoop and put it in your archive. Then in your executive folder, you're going to have things like your plans and goals. And I'm talking your high level plans and goals. What kind of, if you had a Word document that talked about the things, how much money you wanted to make, where you wanted to live, what kind of lifestyle you wanted to have, if you wanted to get granular about how much money you wanted to make for your business, you can have those sorts of goals in there in a folder for plans and goals. You can also have a folder for your legal items. So any of your LLC, your incorporation, your EIN, like any of those sort of legal documents that you get from the state that have to do with your business. If you're operating a food service out of your house, you need your cottage cottage service license or whatever that's called, right? You need your, I had a daycare license. I had, all of those kinds of things you want to have in your legal form so that, you know exactly when someone says, can I see your license? You know exactly where to get it. And then you want to have an education folder. And so in your education folder is going to be anytime you sign up for a course, anytime you do some research on some stuff, anytime, you download a freebie like this one, right? You download this, business file freebie from the link that's in the description, and then you save it in your education folder. That way, you know where it is. And when you look back on this year, you can see all the things you had been working on this year. Then you're in your operations folder. Your operations folder is going to be about accounting and about workflows and manuals. So accounting is very self-explanatory. This is going to be your budgets, it's mostly your budgets. Budgets, if you want to copy these receipts, these sorts of things that you need for tax documents, the scan of your, tax document, the whole thing, or the individual pieces that you need to go together so that you can file your taxes. All of that stuff can be in your accounting under taxes so that you can find it easily. And then you can even, once you have everything done for the year, you can make a folder that's called 2020 and a folder that's called 2019 and moving forward, that sort of thing. Then also in operations, I want you to have a place where you keep what are called workflows, what I call workflows, and work manuals or how-to manuals. And so I think about those two things. They're like nuanced and a little bit different. So a manual is going to tell you how to complete a project, right? Like in order to take on a new client for my daycare, I needed to send the intake form. I needed to send the medical form. I needed to send, the form for the food program, right? And so I want to have in a Word document it's like a checklist of all the things that I need to do in order to onboard a new client. And so I think of that as a manual. Think about whatever you do in your business. If you're taking on a new client, if you're a real estate agent and you get a new listing, or if you have to host a open house, what is the checklist of items that you need to do? Or if you're doing a closing, what is the checklist of items that you need to do so that you don't miss a step and have to waste time, right? What happens is that we get so into the business that we are doing, we feel like we've been doing this for so long, we have that information, but you're constantly replaying it so that you don't forget. And again, it doesn't release your mind to be able to think about anything else. So if you take a minute, write down your checklist of things in order to complete an action, right? A new client or a new product or whatever, then you can move on to the next thing, knowing that you have saved that information. Then you'll also want a folder that I call your workflow folder, which is going to have any of the pieces that are required from that manual, right? So your manual for taking on a new client is, I need the intake form, I need the medical form, I need the food service form. So in my workflow folder for new clients would be the manual for that, would be the template or the empty form for the food service, would be the template for the intake form, so that I can go to one place and either email all of those documents or print all of those documents one after the other and not have to be looking all over the place for them. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Perfect.
No, and there's a lot of tricks to like, for example, in workflows, you can create a template email with those documents already embedded in the email. And all you have to do is just click on that template, email pops up, you type in the person's name and send. Done.
I know. So see, you're fancy, Tom.
No, I'm just saying that there's a lot of things
that is class 2. But absolutely, this is how you get even more efficient. So this is for, folks who are going from a desk full of paper or a computer full of files, how to get the files in order. And then absolutely in, class number 2 or in session number 2, we can talk about how to be even more efficient. I mean, you can make email templates in Google. So you just click on the template and everything is there, right? Just like you said, even the files are attached, so you don't have to do that. So absolutely, there are ways to sort of, even semi-automate some of your tasks so that they get easier and easier every time. So that is sort of like your operations. Now, again, depending on what kind of business you have, you might have something else that fits in there. And I'd be actually interested in the comments. Tell me if you think that something else would fit in your operations. Let me know what that is, because this is not at all intended to be an exhaustive list. This is just a high level suggestions, right, to get you started.
Right.
So your next folder is going to be your products and services folder. And so that is going to be, again, if you're thinking about if you're a service-based provider, maybe you are a health and wellness coach and you have a meditation series and you have a journal, a digital journal, and you have a, health and wellness food, dietary product. Maybe those are your 3 products that you have. You're going to want to have a folder for each of those inside of your products and services, and then have all of the information, whether that's research or, templates or anything that goes with that particular product, you're going to want to have together in that folder. You can also include your inventory in there, depending on what kind of business you have. And then is your sales folder. In my computer, it's called clients because that's how my business works. But this can be your sales or your client folder, right? And in there is where if you're a service-based business, you can keep a folder on each person that you're working with, right? That way you can keep all of their stuff together. In case they buy multiple products from you, you can make sure that you have, maybe they're in a course of yours, or maybe they're in, whatever the different things are that they're getting from you, you can have all of their information together. The alternative is you could have your products in there and then put clients in each of them. Either way works. It depends on how your brain works. But I find that if you start at the client level, then you don't have to duplicate, right? You don't have to put them here in product 1 as well as in product 2. Does that make sense?
Right.
In this folder, you can also include any leads that come in who might not be paying clients yet, right? So if you have some interactions with folks where whatever that looks like based on your business, you can have a folder that's for leads so that you have, their information and whatever you have exchanged with them in one place. So if they do come back, you have an easy way to sort of recall what you've already done together.
Or knowing that this is the place where your leads are going to live, this is going to be one of those folders that you may want to visit every week and say, I'm going to take 20 minutes and see, okay, what are my leads? Can I reach out to this person? Have I reached out to this person? Should I send them another email? Maybe give them a phone call and say, hey, how are you?
Exactly.
Have you thought about, it's a really good way for you to re-engage someone that potentially wasn't focused at the time when you contacted them, but is ready to receive those services now.
Yeah, a warm lead, right?
Yeah.
And then they're already in the sales folder. So once they become a client, you just pull them out of the lead and then they're in sort of the main area of the client folder. So, and then I would say in this space, you can also keep, if you are invited, to guest feature somewhere, if you're a guest on a show or if you're guest somewhere, right? The hope is that also turns into a client, whether it's the host or someone that's involved with them. So I like to keep those interactions in that same place as well, because hopefully they would come out of that folder and end up as one of your clients. So that would be your client or sales folder. And then your partners folder. So in partners, I would keep information in here on vendors, anyone that you have to work with for your business, right? Like not people that you're selling to, but people that you are partnering with, right? So I have a manufacturer for EchoBody, right? So I need to have all of the information, any request forms or template forms or like inventory forms or order forms. That's the word I was looking for, or invoices, right? I'm going to want to keep together with that vendor so that I know all of the things. Obviously, you might be pulling out that information to have in your accounting document, but sort of the main, an invoice is just a PDF, right? And so that sort of thing you'll want to have together with your vendor. So those are the 6 folders and I saved a full page for the big one, which is your marketing folder, right? So marketing, I mean, if you're doing, I would say marketing is probably 60-70% of your business, right? Once you've got your product or your service down, nothing happens without marketing, right? Because you could have the best product. And if you don't have your marketing in order, then nobody's going to know about it in order to buy it. So there's a lot of energy that is put into marketing. So I would think about putting all of your outward facing materials, marketing materials into one place so that they're easy to find. And so here are some suggested items. Now, I'm not saying to go ahead and make these folders if you don't do these things, but in case you do them, you can see how it fills out. So the number one folder that I like to have in here is what I call a ready to use. So again, if someone says, "Oh, Candice, can I see one of your, like an example of one of your videos or one of your promos? Oh, you make promos for small businesses. Can I see an example of them?" Before, I used to think, okay, which one do I want to show? Does this one have too much, or is this one private? Which one should I show? And then I would spend a lot of time, too much time thinking about it. And again, the days would go by and then all of a sudden it's not a warm ask anymore, right? It's like, do they still want this from me 6 days later? And so in your ready to use folder, I would say keep up to date, like your most recent, your latest versions of whatever you have that represents your business, right? Whatever your latest promo is, or your latest piece of artwork, or your latest PDF, or whatever the thing is, you're going to want to put it in your ready to use folder. You can go there very fast and get it, right? Now, like Tommy said, you could also make a template email that includes your latest PDF or video that you can just hit send. But before you get to that point, you have to know where the documents are. You're also going to want to have a folder for planning. And so this is your marketing planning. So if you have which I recommend, you have a high level document, an Excel spreadsheet, or a Word document, whatever works for you. But you have something in there that talks about how you are going to market your company on social media, which channels of social media, how often are you going to pay for it? Are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to find partners? Are you going to pay for partners? Whatever it is, you should be putting some time into thinking about that so that you can have it in one place and you can always be referencing what your plan is and keeping yourself on track, or else you get really distracted by all the, shiny things that are happening in marketing. You also need to have a branding folder, and in your branding folder, that's where you're going to keep the latest copies of the latest versions of your logo, right? The logo comes up so many times. You need your logo, and maybe you have a couple different versions, a graphic version of your logo, a worded version of your logo, a black and white version, a monochrome version, a color version. You might have all these different versions of your logo based on where you're using it. And so you need to have a clear place where you keep it. So that would be marketing, branding, logo, right? And they're all in there. Also in there, you could have your bio. You could have your brand board, if a brand palette or a brand board. And that would be a document where you've taken some time to think through what fonts you want to use, what colors you want to use, what kind of images you want to use. You want to take a little bit of time to think about that at once, put it in a document, and then whenever you're making products or marketing, you don't have to spend time thinking about the design. You always use Montserrat. You always use, script 3 or whatever it is,
or
right?
A specific color.
Or specific colors.
Will eventually let people see, okay, this is my brand.
Exactly. So you want to keep the hex codes in there, right? You keep the colors, you keep the hex codes. Whenever you are making something, there's usually a place where you can put in the hex code so you can get the specific green. Like the green on this document is my green. And it's because I have the hex code written down on my board and I always use it. no matter where I am. If there's a place for me to put it in, then I'm going to put it in. So that's your branding area. Just have all of that stuff in one place so you can always find it. Then any of your email marketing, you're probably writing emails to your email list, which is a whole nother thing to talk about. But you want to have your email drafts. You want to have your campaigns. So a campaign might be a series of emails that you send to someone, potential type of client, or however you segment your campaign. You might have a campaign for the holiday season. I'm going to send this in December. I'm going to send this in week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever your process is. You're going to want to have your documents all in a place so that you know that they were all a part of one campaign, and you should have the drafts of them in a folder easily to find, so that when it's time to write new ones, you have like an archive of what you've already done.
And a template.
And
you
a
can
template.
Use that as a template.
Yes, absolutely. And a template. Let's see, your social media in there. You're going to have any of the, you can put any sort of templates of things that you do, right? So I have a template form that I use for when I'm posting for EchoBody. And so I have a copy of that in mind so that I always know. I mean, I have mine in other places too, because there are other steps after this. But if you download stuff from Canva, say, or if you're in Adobe and you have things that you have made for social media, you want to keep them in a file so that you know exactly where to go and get them. You could separate them by Instagram and Facebook, given that the dimensions of those files have to be different. So, if you're posting to one, you have to use this one. If you're posting to another, you have to use another. But this is where you want to keep all of that information. Then if you do a blog or a podcast, you can have a folder for each of those things, depending on, what you're doing. You want to have a place where you keep all the drafts of the blogs that you write. And then the last two, we're going to talk about affiliates. So affiliates, if you have a referral program, so you have people who are helping to sell your product, whatever that is, and you want to keep in touch with, you should want to keep in touch with them. Send them, encouragement emails, send them graphics that they can use every once in a while, send them updates on how their sales are going, any sort of interaction that you want to have with your affiliates to keep them excited about about being a part of your referral program. You want to keep in this space so that you can easily find that. And then last but certainly not least is a folder for the information from your website. So if you are running your own website and you can pull archives from your website every once in a while, just so that you have an archive of what the website looked like in case your website crashes or in case something happens, you can have a folder in here that's called archive. You can also have a document in here, whether that's a Word document or an Excel sheet, that has the different sections of your website, and you track how you're changing. Sometimes I change things directly in the website, and then I have no way of once it's gone, once you update it, it's gone. And so then you don't know, well, did I say this before? Why did I change this? Did I change this because nobody liked it? It was confusing. What if I do that again because I forgot that I did it before, right? So anytime that you can keep some historical information on your product, on your website, on your business, it's going to be helpful for you moving forward. All right. So that was a lot. How does that feel?
It felt good. Good. A lot of these things I practice religiously because I know the value in being digitally organized. It's very important.
Absolutely.
Never mind the clutter of paper that comes onto your desk.
Yeah.
But being digitally organized is very stress relieving. It relieves a lot of stress. It opens up a lot of time for you to do amazing things and continue to create and grow. And so really invest some time in doing that, because I think that it'll be the best thing that you could do for yourself and for your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this would be your new system, right? And again, I am not saying that this is an exhaustive list. You shouldn't have, you can't have anything else. I would think through, sometimes we think about something as being totally different, but my business has this thing. It might actually fall into your products and services, or in your branding, or in your marketing, right? There might be a place for it. So I encourage you, before you start adding on additional folders, to see if this would fit in somewhere else. And if it really doesn't, then absolutely start a new folder, because your business is unique to you, right? I can't see into your business.
Just look at it this way. Think of it as primary colors, right? When you think of the color wheel, your primary colors are 3 colors for a reason, because out of those 3 colors,
everything
you
else
can
comes.
grow. Everything else comes. And so try to categorize yourself in that sense, and knowing that no matter what you're working on, it belongs in one of these 7 folders.
Absolutely.
And then from there, you can make whatever you want.
Absolutely. And so the last piece that I will say is, if you are a serial entrepreneur like me, right? And you find that you have very distinct, like you have multiple businesses and they are very distinct. So it's not that they are multiple products within one business, but they are actually, I have a marketing business and I have a natural skincare business. Those are very different. I would say you can have a folder. All 7 of those folders can be in one folder named that business A, and then you make another folder named business B that has all of those things in it as well, because the marketing for those 2 things might be different, the planning, the accounting, all of that stuff. So if it makes sense, because your businesses are indeed very different, then make a set of these folders for each business A and business B. And then the goal is that this is your new system, and that it is, it's going to help you, like Tom said, help you pull everything together. And I really think, I absolutely really believe that having these sorts of things in place, these files, your business files in place, is a key component of your success, so that you don't always feel like, I know so many people who are like always busy, right? Or like have so much to do, or like couldn't possibly, do this like filing thing because they have so many other things. And I really think it's because they haven't taken the time to make a system, and they think it's going to take too much time to make the system. And the truth is that if you put a little bit of time on this at the beginning, it actually, the amount of time compounded that you save, the extra 15 minutes you were going to take to write down this list every time, compounded over every single new client, or every single open house, or every single, discovery call, right? The fact that you take a minute to create a Google form with all of the questions that you're going to ask in your discovery form, in your discovery call, means that every single call after that, you'll always have all the information you need. You'll never say, oh my God, I forgot to ask for their email. Oh my God, I forgot to ask if they like, this thing, if they like blue or green, or if they're colors that they don't like. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many times we think we'll obviously remember everything, and we just don't. So definitely this is a key component to getting your mind settled and getting your business settled, so that you can, soar. You can soar. And then finally, right, try to stick to it. Stick to it. Don't try. Stick to it. And the idea is there is a folder for every file that comes in. This guide that you will have downloaded, so that you can do this on your own. You have like a little checklist for yourself. It comes in, you put it in your education folder. You put it in your education folder. Done. You know exactly where it goes. If you never see the email again, it's fine. If you never find the link again on Facebook, it's fine. You know exactly where it is, so that you can reference it, right? So a folder for every file, and a file in every folder. It sounds cliche, but it's so real, and it works in the digital world. It also works in your, this is the last thing I'll say, that it also works for your paper files. So if you're a person who feels really tied to your paper files, I know that there are some instances where you do need to have the paper copies of things for 7 years, or whatever it is for your industry. I absolutely understand that, but that is not the case for every single file that you have. Okay. Right. So let's not overextend the fact that our taxes need to stay in place and put that on like every single note, sticky note, or every single invoice or whatever. Like, that's not the case. So if you
I don't hold on to my taxes.
Huh?
I don't hold on to my taxes.
Do you scan them?
No, I save the file that I'm provided when I file my taxes.
Well, yeah.
No.
Well, some people are still, so that means you do your taxes online, like TurboFile or
Right.
TurboTax. Some people are still going to a tax person and getting paper. So I absolutely understand that. I think that
but even those documents you can scan and put into a folder.
Exactly.
You don't need to keep paper.
Exactly.
It's 2020.
I know. But I do know that there are some people who have a hard time giving up the paper. And so, I want to be mindful of them. Absolutely. It's 2020. Absolutely. A scanned document is, unless it's a birth certificate or a marriage certificate, something with an embossed stamp on it, they work just as well, the scanned file, right? So if you have files that are probably on your desk that, one, you don't need anymore, that two, if you do need it, they can be scanned. And if you now use this system, you'll know exactly where to put them so that you still have them, because having them on the edge of your desk, right? Piling up and then piling up on another edge and piling up on another corner, like that's not it, right? That's not it. Because if your house goes on fire, then poof, gone, everything's gone anyway.
That's right.
Everything's gone anyway. So that's it for this guide. And if you want more information like this, I have recently launched a Facebook group. It's called Launch with Confidence. And these are the kinds of tips and solutions and guides and systems that I am sharing in this space. I have this thing where I have to figure out these things for my own business. And I spend a lot of time on YouTube and research on Google and deep in Pinterest. I spent a lot of time figuring out how to do things. And then once I've done them, I've got all this information stuck in my head that I don't know what to do with. Right. And so I want to save you some time. I want to save you some of these hours on YouTube or on Pinterest where you end up really, really deep in a pin. I want to save you some of that time by bringing you some solutions like this. So please do head over to our group on Facebook. It's called Launch with Confidence, where it is a peer group. So it is a growing group of entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, like many of you who watch the show. And so if you are looking for actual ready to use, easy to implement solutions for running your small business, definitely head over there. And we would love to have you. Okay, that's it. That's it. I feel good. How do you feel?
I feel good. That's amazing. I mean, it's a great list. It's a really great resource guide. So, access the guide, go get it and save it because it's going to save you a lot of time.
Absolutely. So the link in the description is the link to download the guide. Definitely click on that link and download the guide. Use it to help you get through your documents, right? Remember, don't worry. You can make an archive. You don't have to delete anything. And if you need any help, head over to the Facebook group, Launch with Confidence, and others in the group would be happy to talk you through any questions that you have. That's all I have for this week. Next week is Christmas. Next week, Thursday, is Christmas Eve. So it's likely that I will be, 1 or 2 glasses of wine deep by this time, 7:30 on Christmas Eve. So I'm going to call it that we will see you in the new year after the holiday season. So I'm wishing all of you a very Merry Christmas, a super happy holiday, and a wonderful new year. I really hope that that things wrap up really nicely for each and every one of you. Absolutely. And, stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, sanitize your surfaces. And if possible, avoid having large crowds at home. Keep it small, keep it simple, and keep it safe. And hope to see you all in 2021. Absolutely. So until next time. This show is produced by Emlin Group Productions. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.